it turns out that Seth Rollins' injury was a big load of bollocks. And it turns out he was absolutely fine because he returned at SummerSlam. He cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. He stomped CM Punk, who moments earlier had just won the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther, into the ground. And he became your new World Heavyweight Champion. This is our SummerSlam Night 1 review. Welcome to WrestleTalk. I am Luke Owen, DAD, and I'm joined in studio once again like a renegade master, reunited, and it feels so good. The Professor, the Truth, Dan Layton, everyone.
Hello. I find this fascinating. There you are. There you are. I didn't realize that. I didn't a change is a stressful thing.
It's a new camera setup.
But I get to lean back a lot now, and as long as I keep the microphone with me, I could do the whole thing from here.
If you want to, yeah.
Oh, that's quite comfortable, actually. Yeah. But like, that's thrilling. That's thrilling to me. Yeah.
So yes, please.
And you can look at the chat and still be looking at me.
I'm not looking off to the right when you're just like, you're making your point. I'm just like,
salient
and
point.
I'm like, yeah, but what's the chat thing? I mean, I can tell you the chat in the moment is just like, Dan, welcome back, Dan. Dan has graced us with his presence. God, I've missed Dan. Hello. Hey ho, it's Dan. The Professor is back. Everyone's very excited to see you back here on the channel.
I'm excited as well.
We're very excited to have you here. Please do press subscribe, give us a little thumbs up, leave a comment down below with your thoughts on Summerfest Night 1, as we're going to be talking about, isn't it, gone are the days of bringing a celebrity in and then not knowing anything about WWE as a show and calling it Summerfest. Yeah. Now you've got people like Jelly Roll who actually care and they want to try.
Cardi B, who cares and really wants to be there and is excited, but absolutely needs to read from whatever cue card was down below the ring.
I found Cardi B a bit much. I found her presence.
Colour me shocked.
Quite annoying.
Colour me Bodak yellow. The way you were shocked. Cardi B. Luke Owen, DAD. Can't quite hack.
I don't know. Well, someone else
Cardi from the poll.
Because I said in the news I found her quite annoying, and someone was like, "Luke Owen annoyed by pop culture in 2025. What a shock!" I'm like, "Hey, now I like Olivia Rodrigo. I like Sabrina Carpenter."
Stephanie Carpenter,
a sister.
Oliver Rodrigo and Stephanie Carpenter, yeah.
I like some pop culture of 2025. Silly Goose have got a new album coming out.
That's
soon.
where you're going wrong though, because I feel like Cardi B was pop culture from 2019. I feel like it was a long time ago that Cardi B was the big thing.
All right, so I'm annoyed at pop culture from 2019. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But we are here to talk about the main event of this show, which was Gunther versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know how much you have been watching because you've been so busy with school.
I've been watching.
You're still watching the
I got a new data plan, which means I have more data on my phone so I can watch it on the train.
Brilliance of Netflix, right? So I felt that the build for this match has been fairly lackluster. It's been fine. It's just been a couple of promos here and there. But man, they put together this video package beforehand. And it's like the Summer of Punk 2005, the Summer of Punk 2011, the Summer of Punk 2025. And it's going through all of these different eras of CM Punk. And it's this basically the one promo battle they had about who really is the best in the world. And these two met in the ring. And I was like, this has got a big fight feel to it. Like the star power really did elevate what was lackluster build going in.
Yeah. I think what you said on the predictions show about the excitement level you had for the show, and Ollie was sort of a little bit underwhelmed, and you were like, oh, I'm excited for the show because bad TV, good show is what Triple H is since NXT.
It's his motto.
And it is sort of exactly that, where it's like, I could tune into the takeovers and have precisely no idea what had happened for a month, but did I care the most about whether or not American Alpha were going to beat DIY or the Revival or whatever? Yes, I cared more about that than anything that I'd cared about in years in WWE, because they were so effective at putting these packages together and from selling the moment and from feeling just from the vibe it was going to be a big show. And there was something about Punk sort of walking out in the middle of the stadium and in the lovely blue.
Yep, fantastic four blue.
Although evil, Man City blue. I didn't really like that. But it was there was something. It felt big time, and the package and the reminder of how long it's been since he and
he's been world
conspicuously champion. Absent was the summer of 2015. They were going for.
Well, I mean, that's also missing in Unreal as well. Yeah. He just went away.
Spoilers, I haven't seen that far.
It's he just went away for 10 years.
Yeah, just sort of disappeared for a bit.
What did he do?
Who's to say?
He just went away.
Who's to say? But yeah, I kind of... lackluster build, big show is very much how I felt as the match began.
And I loved this match. I thought this match was not only was easily match of the night. I think this match was really, really terrific. I thought that it felt like one of Gunther's better matches while being World Heavyweight Champion. It feels like probably one of Punk's best singles matches of the year, although I quite enjoyed both the Seth Rollins matches he had earlier in the year. I thought this was awesome. It told a really good story of just Gunther was this just like unstoppable force. But old man Punk, has he got anything left in this engine? The age is catching up with him. He hasn't got that many years left to be a world champion again. Yeah. Has he still got it to take on Gunther? And Gunther's like, no, he hasn't. Because every time Punk would get on top with a flurry of offense, like a leg lariat or something, bang, one shot, and down he goes again. Yeah. And they built this and built this and built this up. But Gunther's arrogance about wanting to be perceived as the best in the world. It's in the way that Punk in that pipe bomb promo when he was just like, the fact that Dwayne's in the main event of WrestleMania and not me makes me sick. Gunther's like, the fact that he calls himself the best in the world when I'm the best in the world makes me sick. So he kept being like, is this the best in the world? And he'd go and like pose by his world champions and be like, no, I'm the best in the world. I'm the champion right here. And it was in those moments of arrogance and taking the eye off the ball is when Punk would strike and Punk would get something in. And Gunther just took his eye off the ball one too many times. He got a little bit too big for his boots because he was destroying this poor old man. Yeah. And he was posing on the table, and Punk, just as he did to Drew at WrestleMania 40, tripped him on that table, and Gunther hit his head, and he came up gushing with blood. And this is what I love about Gunther as well. He sold that panic.
Oh, yeah, big time.
He suddenly realized, uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. And like the blood's getting in his eyes. He can't see what he's doing anymore. And Punk, like a shark in water, literally smelling blood, was like, okay, great. And he just runs this amazing flurry of offense. The Macho Man, Randy Savage drop. And he does all of this, hits him up with the GTS, hits him with the second GTS, pins him. I thought it was awesome.
I don't immediately want to be a whinger, but I thought this was good, not great. Because for me, maybe it was because I'd felt this for a lot of the show, and we'll talk about it as we go. There was a lot of air, a lot of bagginess, a lot of like room for what I wanted was, I felt like you could have shaved a bit of time off of a few chops. I wouldn't have missed a few chops. I think everything that you've detailed is really true and really effective and was really good stuff. But there just was a lot of it where I felt like Gunther was just sort of standing around, looming over the and it reminded me a bit of Sami Zayn, the Sami Zayn match at WrestleMania 40. It was a very similar thing, even down to the arrogance of being like, this is your, you know, he's not that good and I'm the best in the world and all that stuff, which is really effective, and I really enjoyed the narrative of that. Any comeback felt like, oh, we're about to have some energy, and then it was gone. And I know that's kind of part of the structure and how you put a match together and things like that, but I did feel like it needed a little bit more pace, it was quite baggy. Yeah. That said, when Gunther pops up, that's with the blood, that's when I started to feel, I mean, first of all, I was like, where that come from? You mildly grazed your temple on the table, but fine. Yeah. I'll go with it. And there was that great shot. Punk did a really good job of selling how knackered and exhausted he was, and how, hang on, this is a lot of a bigger challenge than it might have been 10 years ago, than I ever thought it could be, even though I think, you know, I'm grizzled old, but I'm still the best in the world and all of that stuff. To the point where I thought maybe something had gone wrong. There was a lot of conversation happening with the ref, and Unreal's in the back of my head. And Triple H with his glasses. Is he selling? Is he selling? And I'm like, oh, hang on. So that's good work. That's them selling that really well. And then Gunther's like panic, the blood in his eyes. Cole, I think, and Barrett were both doing a really good job of that. Of selling that, but also selling the age thing, selling the, like, you know, shucks, I lost that one. I'll come back for another one soon. The older you get, the fewer chances there are. That was the stakes of that were sold really well. So yeah, when we got to the result and the finish, I was like, whoa, that's good stuff. I just felt a lot of the time I was checking my watch. That's fair. How long was it? Because it felt like it was a fairly long match. They had like 40 minutes before like the bell sounded, but obviously you had all the angle at the end. A quick look. This is the thing, and I'll say it comes back when we discuss other matches on the show. You know the stopwatch warriors?
Yes, I know. And I know
There's
you
only
hate
12
them.
minutes of wrestling in my 5-hour show.
Yeah.
I'd like them to get their stopwatches out between like when Gunther does a chop and when is the next time he does a move. Because
that's part of like structuring a match.
It is.
Though. That's a very different thing.
Well, it's
wow. It was just half an hour.
This is what I'm saying.
30 minutes and 20 seconds. I thought it flew by.
Okay. Well, interesting. Maybe it was just because I was in the wrong headspace for it. But I felt like there's and maybe it was because it had also happened in Randy Orton and Jelly Roll, and it had also happened in the women's tag and the men's tag as well at the beginning of the show. When the heel beatdown goes on for a really long time, you start getting a bit squeaky bum in your chair.
I totally understand that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's necessary and it's good to tell the story and the actual action. It's the bagginess between.
No.
Like whenever we would do, I'm afraid I've come back to the podcast and I'm bringing with you an entire year of drama school training. Whenever we're doing a show and we accidentally or we leave a little bit too much space, you're so aware of it, the audience suddenly start to drift. You need to keep the focus. You need to keep them attentive. And I felt myself drifting a little bit.
I'm just going to read a text that Dan sent me yesterday about the John Cena face turn. He texted me, not to be a master's degree prick about it, but the narratology and dramaturgy of it all was fascinating.
Yeah, it really was.
And I was like, mate, you don't get this on Wrestling Observer Radio.
It's interesting stuff, guys.
It's going to be great having you back on the podcast.
But it's true that it's like, for me, it's just from my viewer perspective, all of the beats and when you describe what's going on, I'm like, oh yeah, that is really good stuff. Mm-hmm. Just in the moment, I was a bit like,
yeah,
I know what I mean.
I totally understand that as well. Like, I really enjoyed Punk's performance. I enjoyed Gunther's performance, but like, this is what I want out of Gunther. Like, this is the Gunther presentation that I really like. And one of my favorite things about him is that while he is a big dude and he carries himself like a big dude, he's not afraid to sell. And like that old Vince McMahon thing was like, big guys shouldn't sell. There's even like, I can't remember what it was now. I was talking about Raquel Rodriguez being like,
Kevin Nash.
It's Kevin Nash. Like,
she's now big mummy cool.
Yeah, it's like, problem is she sells too much.
Right.
Like, and it's like, okay, well, I'll sell this. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be afraid to sell just because you're a bigger. And that's so when Gunther carries himself around and he has that little moments of just like, something's going wrong. It adds that next level to it. And you got it in the Sami Zayn feud and you got it here as well. And perhaps like, so your point you were making about the tag matches, I think this is actually a part of the problem with this show is having 3 tag matches, is that all WWE tag matches are the same.
They're built around the hot tag.
They're all just built around the hot tag. So when you have 3 of them on a 7 match card or a 6 match? 6 match. So half of them have the exact same layout. That is when, particularly when you get to the gym, it's like, all right, lads. Like,
and then when I get to that, so I think that's kind of my point is when I get to the main event and I'm met with a not untypical Gunther match. Like the Gunther matches I love are the ones against like your Chad Gable or where he's got to fight the speed and the pace and the endurance and things like that. This one, it purely is just trimming it down a little bit. Like when you do an edit and you know, I'm going to get rid of some of that dead air. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just about don't let the air come out. And this is the thing I think about a lot in this case. You've got a 2-night show. You've got a stadium with no roof. You've got it's not full. Like there's big tarped off, and we know from being at All In last year that facing a lot of tarp the energy's hard to keep.
Yeah, totally. You're aware of it.
You have to work harder. You have to focus in more. You have to keep that energy up. And the longer I was watching a chop stand around for a few minutes, chop, stand around for a few minutes, the more I was like, I can go and put the kettle on and come back and know that I won't have missed anything massive. I need to be gripped into it. It's Gunther and Punk. They can. And when they do like the closing sequence, it clearly works. Yeah. And even the opening. And then he comes back like when he's going for his those power bombs are vicious. Yeah. Just condense it is what I think. That's what I'm after.
I could have gone another 10 minutes. But anyway, but it's I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah.
I thought they for me personally, I thought they structured it really well. I thought they performed it like excellent. And I like this Punk attitude. He would not give up. He would not die. And Gunther's arrogance at the better of him. Punk wins the title, and it's a really nice moment. Punk just wins, and he's celebrating the belt, tears down his eyes. Even though I don't think this is a particularly prestigious title to win, I don't think this is what he had in mind when he said, "I want to come back and win a world title, win the big title." And then Seth's music hits, and I think we're gonna have a big discussion about this. I think this is gonna be like the next sort of strap yourselves in, folks. And it's like the next 10-20 minutes of this show is us talking about this and what led us to this point. Yeah. But it is what a lot of us were expecting. That Seth is going to come out and he's going to cash in on Punk and win the title. And Seth comes out on crutches and he just gives this warning. You may have the title now, Punk, but when I'm better, I'm coming for it because I've got money in the bank. And he turns around and he hobbles towards the back. And then he stops and he pushes away the crutches. He takes off the knee brace. He grabs the briefcase and he runs down to the ring. He and Punk have a little brawl. Punk nearly gets him up for the GTS, but then Rollins just starts batting him with the briefcase. He cashes in, immediately hits the stomp, wins the world title in about 10 seconds. Punk was champion for something like 5. Is the shortest time as champion. He's like 5 minutes and 3 seconds or something. Which has beaten Drew, because Drew was like 5 minutes 20.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's really interesting as well how Punk and Rollins were both involved in that finish of WrestleMania 40.
This is it. It's Karma's. I believe it was JoJo Siwa, wasn't it, who said Karma's a bitch. You should have known better. But there's a lot of karma here. The as you mentioned before, Gunther on the table being swiped out. That's a reference to that one. You've got Seth with his heist of the century repeat. You've got Punk being involved in the way Drew lost it. The times being so close together, and that, you know, Drew is going to relish in every single one of those 20 seconds or whatever, that he held the title for longer than Punk did. But also Punk having cashed in himself in this kind of fashion.
Yeah, on Jeff Hardy.
You know, and interrupting Drew McIntyre's attempted cash in as well. Like he's got this over the past couple of years, this history with cash-ins and with belts and things like that. And I just thought that all of that, the kind of karmic retribution of it, and even in the post-show, you've got Punk walking up the ramp. There was so many emotions in his face, so many feelings of like, you could tell you almost could tell he was like, yeah, I kind of had that coming. There was an element of that. Obviously, there's a frustration, there's a devastation as he's thinking about being old. The fans are still chanting his name, and he's like, maybe I do still have something. There was a lot going on there that was so well crafted that I was a big fan of the execution of this.
And it sets you up on a story of Punk can win the Rumble, and he can face Rollins for that title at WrestleMania 42. Even though like for a while I've been on the Sami Zayn train, because that's what they kind of set up in the weeks after WrestleMania. This whole thing like Sami Zayn, I'm on the quest to become World Heavyweight Champion. I was like, oh, brilliant. You can tell that you can win the Rumble in Saudi Arabia, no less, and then go on to face Rollins for the world title. I think now probably going to be Punk. Like I think that's probably the direction we're heading in. At the very least, even if he doesn't win the Rumble, you can do Punk and Rollins for the world title at Mania 42, and Punk can win the belt there.
I want Punk and Cody.
Well, I am. Do you know? So
in that world, you can get Rollins and
Zayn. I mean, look, dude, I am too, because I am sick to the back teeth of watching CM Punk feud with Seth Rollins.
Well, this is interesting.
I have been watching them feud now. Since when did he get back? 2023? Did he get back?
Yeah.
So it's like we're getting on for 2 years now that these two lads have been feuding.
Yeah.
Punk's only had 2 feuds since he got back. It's been Drew and Seth, and I'm sick to the back teeth of watching these two feud. So the fact that the idea that I might have to watch them feud for another like rest of this year to go into WrestleMania, for a title I don't care about. Like I want more from my CM Punk. If I've only got a few more years of CM Punk in WWE,
want him to do all the stuff.
I'd like him to do some more things.
That was one of the interesting things in Unreal, was like Rhea talking about this never-ending feud with Liv, and I think we all kind of felt that as well.
Yeah, God, it was never-ending.
So it was kind of her mentioning that was like, oh yeah, like so I think they know it too, and they feel it too. Look, I mean, if you can keep the story engaging, the rivalry doesn't have to go on cooldown. But I think there's something about this new little twist that I'm like, because there's the Roman of it all as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think we're probably going to have, we're going to be in the build to Survivor Series War Games next. So you have like Punk and Sami and Roman and Jay and whoever it is versus Team Seth. In War Games, probably plus Drew McIntyre
and Logan Paul,
and Logan Paul, and so Randy Orton will be on the babyface side as well, and you have this sort of like big 10-man all star-studded War Games match, and then that will keep you going until Mania. So but I kind of maybe Sami is going to be the stopgap between that, so you can kind of run a Sami Zayn feud. Now that he's done with Karrion Kross, he can look towards that World Heavyweight Championship picture. So you're going immediately back to Punk and Seth, which I'm quite, but then I don't know what you do with Punk for a bit. Well, where does Gunther factor into all of this, winning back his world title?
Yeah, you can also look, I think, a little bit at the idea of like Punk's an old man now. Like there's something about the old man Punk thing that you can look at, and he has to earn his way back up. You had 2 world title shots, and they both went wrong. They both went wrong because one of them you won. Like he won that world championship. So he's quite within his rights to be like. It's not like a real situation where you've lost the matches a whole bunch, but you get put in there anyway. Like he won the championship, and he had Cena beat as well. So like but when's your next one? You're an old man. You've not got much time left. The urgency, things like that. There's a lot of story beats you can play with to keep it interesting and to keep them occupied. It's just whenever we talk about this, and it's really interesting, the collective fandom space where we all talk about this and we're all constantly thinking about it and what's next and what's next. We talk about like this will keep you going through till Mania. That's April. That's a long time.
It's a long way. We saw from this year.
Yeah,
like that gap they had between the Rumble and Mania felt like eternity, particularly when it came to all the Jey Uso stuff. It just felt like it's just taking us forever to get to the end. But let's talk about what led us to this point, and it's really, I think, an interesting discussion to be had around spoilers.
Let's go.
So Seth Rollins went down with an injury at Saturday Night's main event. It was him versus LA Knight. Seth Rollins did the lion salt, landed on his feet, immediately hopped up into the air, grabbed at his knee, buckled himself into the corner, called the referee over, called Heyman over. Felt like something was going awry. LA Knight's just sort of pacing himself around. And then Rollins eventually stands up. Knight immediately hits the BFT and wins. Everyone immediately goes, something's gone wrong here. This, and then Rollins is helped to the back and all this sort of stuff. He's swearing at
all these shots from the crowd.
LA Knight looks dead annoyed because something has gone awry. And then reports start to come out that, Rollins is injured. He unfortunately is. It sucks because he's the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, but he's got until June next year, so like they're not too worried about that aspect of it. But he is the top heel of Monday Night Raw at the moment. He's the leader of this brand new heel faction. He's going to have to really pivot some creative plans. The last 40 minutes of that Saturday night's main event had to be re-scripted on the fly, which meant that Gunther and Goldberg's match was restructured, and Goldberg's retirement speech was cut short because of this Seth Rollins injury. And then the next day at Evolution 2, Rollins is spotted backstage and he's on crutches. And Triple H is on the post-show press conference being like, doesn't look good. He's going to go get his MRI done, but doesn't look good. And, we're hoping for the best. And everyone's like...
It was vivid, that impression.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been working on it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this doesn't look good. And everyone is saying that this is real.
Yeah.
With the exception of Dave Meltzer, who said... Everyone I've spoken to has said this is a legit injury, apart from one person who said to me, I heard that this was the plan as of last Thursday. They were going to do an injury angle at Saturday Night's main event.
And that man? Jelly roll.
And everyone's like, that's Meltzer. Meltzer hears a lot of things, and it's one person who is saying this. And also, it's Meltzer post the fact that it's happened.
Yeah.
So that's something. But then there was also John Pollock of Post Wrestling, who I think might have even said it first. He was like, no, I heard on Thursday. I was told directly on Thursday they're going to do an injury angle at Saturday Night's main event because what they want to have is the heist of the century cash-in moment that they had at Mania 31 10 years later and have a new spin on it. This idea of we can't just have him cash in. It's Seth Rollins. It's 10 years to the day. Well, it's 10 years and 10th anniversary of the heist of the century has to be a big deal. So they'll turn this injury angle to make you think he's going to be out for ages. Yeah. Then he makes this big shock return and he cashes in 3 weeks later. And so, but that was, just these two dissenting voices within this field. Sean Ross Sapp saying, like, everyone I'm speaking to is saying that it's legit. Like, it's talent saying it's legit, producers saying it's legit, backstage crew saying it's legit. So if it is a work, they are working everyone backstage into thinking that this is real. But the longer this went on, the more people started to think that it was a work.
Yeah.
The tip-off for me, the day after Saturday Night's main event, was me and Ollie were in and we were looking at, because it was the same day as All In. Yeah. So we were putting together like the thumbnail for that day's review, because we were going to lead with the Rollins injury. And we were going through the WWE.com gallery, and there was a photo of Seth in the ring with a doctor next to him. I was like, if this injury was real, that wouldn't be in the gallery.
Right.
Because we just saw what happened with Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
When Liv Morgan got injured in the ring, they immediately cut to commercial, matches stopped, we've gone. Something's gone wrong. Shown some replays of it, but the match has come to an end. Sadly, Liv Morgan's injured, and there's no pictures of it anywhere or anything like that. And then Seth Rollins is presenting the Rich Eisen show, whatever that is over in America, and he's there's like, man, we're going to do the MRI, but there's too much swelling, so we still don't know. But all I know is that I'm hopeful I can be back by WrestleMania. And according to Sean Ross Sapp in a report that he put up yesterday, that was the moment where a lot of talent and producers were like, okay, maybe this is... I've not been told that this is a work. But people are still telling me it's legit. But it's making me think it's likely that it is. We get to this point here. Turns out it was a work all along.
Yeah.
And it's funny that this comes on the week of the release of Unreal, where they have a whole episode dedicated to the art of keeping a secret,
which I haven't seen yet.
But but you've seen like the true
I've seen
crime,
the true crime bit where Triple H's humongous close up is telling me that somehow Travis Scott deserves to be involved in a creative meeting.
Had to call through Travis Scott to make sure he was fine with the creative.
But yeah, like then it's like, and then I call that person, then I call that person. Yeah, I really enjoyed. I've seen that one clip.
Got to stay within this circle of 5 because if this gets out, it ruins everything. There's Michael Hayes being like, and if we get them, that's it. That's the surprise. That's what you want to get. So
that's the big story of Unreal. Michael Hayes' veneers. I've not been able to stop looking them 3 episodes in. So.
Yeah, Michael Hayes being a smug prick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's, they were trying to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were looking for here. They wanted to do the ultimate work, where you as an audience think Rollins is going to be out until might even miss Mania next year, and then all of a sudden 3 weeks later he comes back and he cashes in Money in the Bank, and we're all surprised and we're all shocked. But it got out. So there's kind of 2 avenues to this conversation. I know I've just spoken a lot there because I just wanted to cover the ground and give all the context for it. So I'll offer the floor to you next. But it kind of leads me into 2 different conversation avenues, right? One of which is, do spoilers actually spoil wrestling? Like, was this moment diminished because a lot of us were expecting it to happen? And the other side of it is, well, did WWE do a good enough job of keeping this a secret? Because we've seen that they can keep it a secret. But at the same time, we know that they also use the dirt sheets in this because they had Seth Rollins backstage at Evolution on crutches, knowing that it would get reported and fed to Sean, so that Sean would put it out so people think that the injury is more legit.
It's such an interesting conversation because it takes into account so many different facets of what makes wrestling and what makes it unique as an art form, and this blend of reality and fiction in the drama of it all. And for me, apologies if this has been said elsewhere on the channel, but I have really I've like pulled muscles in my eyes, rolling them at the number of people talking about how Unreal is like exposing and ruining the business, when I'm sorry, this exact same subreddit pours over dirt sheet information. And I would much rather watch a 6-part documentary about things that have already happened and the creative process that went into putting them together than be told that this is coming. Do you know what I mean? If I'd known Naomi was going to cash in on Evolution 2, I would not have found that to be as effective as I did.
I didn't get out.
That to me is... And by the way, very quick sidebar, but what I was talking about air and bagginess in matches, that's a great example of what happens when you don't put air and bagginess in matches. That match is fucking unreal for me. Sorry, I swore. But like that was a match where I'm on the edge of my seat, and like so, and then that cash in moment with Naomi is so big because I didn't see it coming, and we'd all assumed,
or thought it was going to be happening here
exactly, or it would be going on with Tiffy or whatever. So I find that really frustrating to listen to, and to like let's get real. This also doesn't matter. But the thing then is, spoilers are not fun. Spoilers on when you are trying to craft a story and create moments that shock people, that entertain people, that make people go, "Whoa, I've got to tune in next week." You want to experience them in the moment. I spoiled this cash-in for myself by logging on to WWE.com this morning because they told me that Clash in Paris tickets were available on the website, and I forgot that I wasn't watching a live broadcast, so I just went on the website and saw it, and I was like, oh, for God's sake.
Why didn't you go straight to Ticketmaster?
Because it wasn't on Ticketmaster UK, and I forgot there was a specific French Ticketmaster, and I was like, oh, damn it. Anyway, it was my fault. Yeah, Le Ticket. Belay Master. It was my fault. But knowing them weeks in advance, we always, and then there's the tendency to pivot, and then we're like, oh, well, you should have given us that one, but the spoilers. You craft a story, you write a story, you want it to have the ultimate impact. If that impact is then spoiled for you, that's a shame. I think personally. However, with that said, there's something unique about wrestling where we kind of like to play the game of, what do you think is going to happen? And I think narratively this is going to happen. When you do long-term storytelling, as Triple H on Unreal told me, when his giant head told me that that's what he wanted to do, you have to accept that when you start to lay seeds in your narrative, people are going to watch for them to grow.
Yeah.
Right? You have to accept that it's I'm so sorry to continually do this, but it's the Game of Thrones thing. If you tell people for the whole time that the butler did it and then suddenly you change your mind at the last minute and the chambermaid did it, your audience aren't going to be satisfied. There is a satisfaction in being in rewarding you for you paying attention, right? There is a satisfaction in rewarding us for being hyper engaged. So, is this injury real? Is this not real? I don't think it's real. I think it's real. Is as much part of the fun as anything. Where it starts to get really like whatever for me is the glad handing and like, told you so, I told you it was a work. And then suddenly the conversation now is about whether or not Dave Meltzer's right, whether or not all of these people are right, and not about, oh, that was an effective piece of storytelling, or that was a great performance, or actually I thought the reveal of the weird sort of like Jesus Christ superstar moment
when he threw away the crutches
and Punk's brilliant face when the music hits and he's like, oh no, I've done this, I've been here, like undercutting the emotion and whether or not the emotion is real and whether or not the belt is valid and all those things. Of course. Fair. Yeah. But in the narrative where I'm buying into, where I believe this belt means something to this man and this moment means something to this man, that selling of, oh God, here we go, was really effective, I thought.
I think for me, the only thing, I don't think commentary sold it enough.
Right.
Because this is supposed to be, we thought he was out for a year.
Seth Rollins is not doing this on SummerSlam in this moment. Also, that this is the other part in my head where I'm like, he's not doing this here if he's not doing something with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
but like, I think the commentary like didn't make a big enough deal of, or I don't think they sold this moment as big as it should have felt in terms of, you know, when John Cena came back from that like torn pec thing in like in 08, and we was like, no way. Commentary there sold it like, there's no way he's back. I think that was a similar thing here. We need to put over the fact that he outsmarted Punk. Not only just Punk, he outsmarted us all. And we all thought he was going to be out for months. I don't think that was my only critique I would have of this moment, which I actually thought was very good.
Yeah.
The idea, like
Joe Tessitore on the post show sold it like you wouldn't believe. And Big E was a big fan. Like,
well, that's good. I think Joe Tessitore is WWE's best commentator right now. Is best play-by-play.
It's Corey Graves, but okay.
No, play-by-play, I'd say.
Corey Graves and Wade Barrett is the best play-by-play duo.
Yeah,
that's my GOAT duo. I will die on this hill.
I do think we're not giving enough. Like, I don't think we're giving enough credit to Corey Graves and the play-by-play work that he was done before he was unceremoniously. Pat McAfee. But the point I was going to make about spoilers. Yeah. So, story from my sort of personal history, and I've told the story before on the podcast anyway. When I went to go see Endgame.
Yeah.
By the way, spoilers for Endgame. Spoilers.
Can you believe one of my classmates had not seen it?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got to be there when she watched it for the first time and it was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me hugely only because my brother's partner had not seen any of them either. So she
was a fan of everything. She just actively hadn't watched Endgame because she couldn't accept that it was over.
Fascinating.
She is. I'll introduce you to her one time. Anyway, carry on.
When I went to go see Endgame, it was me, Ollie, our partners, and a couple of other people. We're in the queue waiting to go through. And a screening had just finished and they walked out. God. And someone walked out and shouted out loud, Iron Man dies.
Oh, God! God!
It really was like this, like, you know, there's a sort of groan amongst the sort of like people in the crowd for those that heard them say, because this little dweeb came out to ruin everyone's fun.
Yeah.
Right? And that was a guy there who purposely came out to ruin everyone's fun and ruin, you know, he did that to get to his lols. And I'm sure he still gets a kick out of it to this day. What a dick. During the movie, I forgot that I'd been told that.
Right.
So even though I went into that movie expecting Iron Man to die, because that is the story that they had been telling across the last 20-odd movies in the last 10 or so years, I was fully expecting Iron Man to die at the end of that movie. But I still got really emotional when he did. And it really was like, oh, no, he is. Like they've killed Iron Man. If the reason why I'm telling that story, because I think it's here as well, if you knew that Seth Rollins was cashing in because it got leaked ahead of time, because someone walked out and be like, Seth Rollins cashes in at the end, if you are still emotionally invested in a story, I don't think that a spoiler can affect that much, because you still have the emotional impact of actually seeing it happen. What I found very interesting about the reaction to this cash-in is it's not really a lot of people being angry that it was spoilt for them. It's actually people being angry that CM Punk got cashed in on and they took the world title off him straight away.
Interesting.
So that to me says that the emotion has trumped the spoiler being gotten out to. You know, see what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah. That's a really interesting insight. I think, because it's true, like, you know, that's kind of what I was alluding to, where we as fans kind of like to know what's going to happen, so that a great example of it is Cody at WrestleMania 39. We all sort of believed, well, naturally that's what's going to happen. 100%
believed.
And then we didn't get it, and we were cross about it in a big way.
That's the emotion.
Now that then paid off at 40 in an even bigger way, but
because we all went in knowing he was going to
surely he's going to win.
He has to win this time.
But I do think that is a different thing than on the very day you set up the idea that Seth Rollins might be injured, we instantly go to reports say this, reports say that, reports say the other, and it's a part of wrestling. You kind of have to accept that it's going to be that. You don't have to seek it out. You don't have to engage with it. But it is tricky for me, speaking as a creative and as a storyteller, when you're trying to create the optimum experience and the optimum endeavor for an emotion, and there are people working to pull back the curtain before you've put everything in place. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Pulling back the curtain after the fact, fascinating. When I was a kid, I watched, there's a documentary called The One that goes behind the scenes, and it is about the making of an episode of Friends, and it is on the season 10 DVD. You can find it on YouTube, but it goes through the process of writing the first episode of season 6, from hatching the idea for the show, coming back from the season break, seeing what we still got, writing the episode, realizing that a lot of the plans we had before we left aren't going to work for the actual foundation of the episode, so we need to change the sets. Then the actors come in and rehearse, then the cameras come in and rehearse, then we film the show, it changes because the audience are there, then we edit it, then we mix, then we add music, whatever. It's the whole process. It's quite literally how the sausage is made. That single documentary is what made me want to follow the career that I do, because I knew I wanted to be involved. I knew I wanted to be making these things happen, because it's such an alive and exciting environment. And Unreal does that for me in the same way where it's like, kayfabe died a long time ago, right? We know this is
a new era of kayfabe.
We know this. The word's unreal. It's a brilliant little pun, obviously, because people are like, it's fake, right? Well, it's not fake. It's unreal, but also it's unreal, the things that we do. But also it's kind of real. But also
and the show, these scenes that we've got here are not unreal, because we've staged a lot of them. But that's reality TV show.
That's reality TV, and that's the era, and that. But also that kind of happens. Like I think about that in every documentary I watch. It's like, where's the camera? How long has the camera been there? Like, why is it? Has it been formed in the edits? Yeah, exactly.
Given the villain edits and that sort of stuff.
Exactly. So like you accept it. It's whatever. But I love seeing the conversations, and I love seeing I loved seeing specifically Rhea Ripley wandering up and down, going through her match with Damian Priest, and Priest in one of the most fly outfits I've ever seen in my life. Sort of no-selling everything that she's like. She's erratically freaking out. It was like, oh my god, this is like me behind the scenes for the show, like backstage with my scene partner, going through our moves that we're doing, and I know what they are, but for some reason she thinks she needs to tell me the choreography, and I'm like, oh my god, I've seen this, I've been this, I love it. Where was I? Why didn't we start reviewing Unreal? Why was I talking about
I did this on Friday.
Yeah, I've missed the boat. But I don't know what I was saying.
Okay, well, can I go on to my next point I was going to make, was that I'd pitched the idea in terms of, sort of spitballing ideas of, like, if your plan was to do this at SummerSlam, and then one guy leaked this, and now kind of like the whole thing has come undone, and someone's just grabbed a hold of that little thread, and now the whole sweater song by Weezer is gone. Yeah. If you want to destroy my sweater, pull this thread as I walk away. Right? Do it at a different show. Okay. Because people will go into SummerSlam expecting it to happen, and then boom, you do it at Clash in Paris instead. And then it's like, oh, whoa! I got swerved because I thought it was going to happen here, and they made me think that the dirt sheets were wrong. Dave Meltzer's cooked. He doesn't know what he's talking about anymore. Turns out they just moved it back a month. I think that's interesting. There's certainly a way to do that. But also, man, I got to give them some credit to just sticking with the plan.
Well, this is the other thing, and that's part of the long-term storytelling thing, is you got to hold your nerve.
Okay, because Game of Thrones, like
Let's twist for the sake of twisting.
They did a twist for the sake of twisting on Game of Thrones because someone on Reddit had figured it out. Someone on Reddit,
because the seeds had been planted, and they didn't figure it out.
Exactly.
They
just followed what the seeds had been that were planted and quote unquote figured out the ending of the show. And the writers have talked about this. It's not like rumor or speculation or rumor and innuendo. They have said someone on Reddit figured it out, so we changed the ending of the show. And by doing that, they made a much worse show.
Catharsis was taken away from us all.
Yeah, because you were building up this thing through seasons 1 through 8, and then you get to series 9. I think it was 9 seasons or whatever it was.
8 seasons.
8 seasons. Okay, so you're doing 1 through 7. You got all these plans. You get to series 8. It's like, oh wow, well, Sansa's a completely different character now, and Daenerys feels different now. Yeah, it's because all the stuff you were doing previously, you've now changed.
Put in the bin.
So you put it in the bin to do something different because, well, now we've swerved Reddit, and that's really the aim of the game, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's two arguments. So I actually really do applaud them for just sticking with the plan. Part 2 of that as well, and I think this is going to be a really fascinating thing moving forward, is that who was in gorilla position for this, according to Sean Ross Sapp, the director of WWE Unreal. Because this will be an episode in series 2.
Cool.
The idea of what, it's telling the story of how we did the Seth Rollins injury at Saturday Night's Main Event, how we came up with the concept of it, how we did it too, because Brian Alvarez has said that he was actually hurt. He did need to have some time off to recover from this knee injury. It's just not as bad as they were making it out to be. So it's sort of
rather than a break.
Exactly. So it's a between a work and a shoot.
I think it's also interesting, just to sort of tie it. It is the frustrating part of it that it becomes about, should he do a victory lap and you pull the wool over the eyeball, the dirt sheets. They did what they were supposed to do, which is try and make us believe the fiction.
Yeah, and I think this
and in an age where you're going to tell me that feud between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens starts on social media, which was an episode of Unreal, and you're gonna have me watch the post shows and look for storylines and reward me. You have to also try and sell it backstage. And when there are people who talk to the journalists,
Wrestlers Chat, man.
Wrestlers Chat. So I can't blame you for desperately trying to. It's not pulling the wool over their eyes and the idea that it's in some way insulting to the journalists. Sorry, guys, we're trying to tell a story here. I don't really have sympathy for them.
And the idea is you should never work the boys. Which is, the idea.
But if the boys are going to tell the story, you have to work the boys.
Bingo. And that's the point I was going to make, is that if you are currently leading a leaky ship, you need to do something to stop the leaks.
Yeah.
And we are now in an age where there are more journalists out there doing wrestling scoops than ever before. Previously it was just Meltzer and it was Mike Johnson and it was Wade Keller. They were your three. Now it's a huge load of people, because there's guys up on Twitter. There are new people. There are new faces coming in every now and again. Someone will get something and that will be their one big scoop. And that may be just the only one scoop they ever get. But that was one more than there was 2 weeks ago. So you've got to do a different way. And I think we are going to be heading into a new era of kayfabe, where a lot of talent aren't told a lot of things. A lot of talent aren't clued into a lot of things. A lot of talent start giving each other misinformation. I think we're going to be in an era where there's way more misinformation being spread on purpose to throw people off what is happening on screen.
Ultimately leads to a more satisfying narrative viewing experience. I'm all for it.
And, wrestling, WWE in particular, do you know what? The one thing they've always wanted to get rid of? Dirt sheets. So, Bruce Pritchard started a podcast whose whole purpose was to discredit Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
And Eric Bischoff started a podcast whose whole purpose was to discredit Brian Alvarez's Death of WCW book. They want to remove the dirt sheets ruining their stories.
Yeah.
Because Triple H did an interview post WrestleMania where he was going into detail about how you do this and the other, and everyone was like, well, how come you can talk about how the sausage was made, but you get angry at the dirt sheets doing it? And his argument was, I've done it after the fact.
And I so fundamentally believe that.
I completely agree with it as well.
And also he made the sausage.
Yeah, exactly. I've made you a sausage. You enjoyed the sausage. Here is how we made that sausage. As opposed to someone coming and be like, hey, do you know how they make that sausage?
Yeah.
The sausage you're about to eat, these are the ingredients.
It's going to taste like this.
It's going to taste exactly like this. So I think we are heading into a new era of kayfabe. And with this new era of kayfabe is going to be the post-show Q&As that they do after shows.
And thank God they're not press conferences anymore.
Well, yeah, because Triple H sucks at them.
Also because they didn't know what they wanted them to be.
No. So now you can do it in a much more scripted format.
Great.
A much better way of doing this whole thing. So you do it in that style. It is WWE Unreal, and it's spreading misinformation to the dirt sheets to make them not reputable anymore.
Yeah.
That is going to be the new era of kayfabe, and I don't think that's actually the worst thing in the world, because I think it will lead to a lot more natural reactions to things. We won't be expecting things as much. But I also think it could lead into a feeling of distrust between the people that work there, unless they're actually massively on board with this. Because as I've said earlier, do you know what wrestlers love to do? Chat.
Well, because you also want to raise your own stock, and you want to have, like, you know, connections are important, and I get that, and it's all the rest of it. I think what I would like, if in this scenario, which I think would be a good thing for the consumer, I'd love for the dirt sheets to respond to that by recalibrating what their news is, because there is, like I said, there is still value. We like the insight. We like to know, what was going on, and there's a rumor that, you know, Mariah May might sign with NXT. Like, that's interesting. Like, that kind of stuff is always fun and curious. Still makes their debut like, oh, cool, it happened. You know what I mean? But storyline spoilers, I think, for me, is a big line to draw.
I think you're right. Like, I think the reporting you're going to see more of will just be like, not personal reporting, because that makes it sound like it's who's dating who, which is not really a big part of like wrestling journalism. It'll be more about like contracts and like lengths of contracts, or like talent's been speaking with these merchandise deals, this, that, and the other. It'll be more about the business side of it as opposed to the creative side of it. Of like, you may hear about like verbal disagreements backstage between people, but it won't be a case of these plans are in place for X to happen.
A plan for so-and-so to go on a big push.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Here's how the push is going to happen. Miss me with it. I want to watch it. Yeah. You know.
So I think it's a fascinating new era I think we are heading into. And I think this is like this, and the Cena heel turn are really good. So I mean, like I said this on the Friday show, but I'm going to reiterate it here in case one didn't hear it. I think The Rock's at the show tomorrow.
I'm fascinated by that.
I think Rock is in the main event tomorrow, and I there's a part of me that thinks Travis Scott's going to be in the main event tomorrow as well.
Just talk about baggy.
It would only like in the week.
It'll take 9 years to get to the ring.
And in the week that Unreal comes out, and you do such a big hoo-ha about that and talk about how like it was one of the greatest heel turns ever, with the greatest heel character of all time in the final boss, and Travis Scott was there, and Travis Scott's been like, I want to make this my full-time job. I've got to get out of the rap game. I'm going to join the wrestling industry. And then there's been no word that The Rock is going to be there. I think for sure The Rock's like, I don't know why. I've just got this real gut feeling, and I might be wrong. You know, I'd be completely wrong. But that's also part of being a wrestling fan, right? It's just like, I've got this gut feeling.
Yeah.
But I really do feel like The Rock is going to be in the main event tomorrow.
That is fun. Like that kind of gut feeling.
And I don't think, if I've said that now and then tomorrow The Rock is there, don't want you coming at me being like, Luke spoiled this for me. Because
no, but that's different though, isn't it? Because that's like, I'm reading the tea leaves and I'm making a speculation. That's part of the fun, and that's why that's looking at the seeds. We don't want to not do that. We just want to make sure we're not giving away plot elements that could make us go, whoa, that was like if you knew about the heist of the century before the heist of the century happened, that is not the best cash in of all time. I think. I completely agree. Same with, I'd say, Dolph on the night after WrestleMania, whichever one it was. And also, it's always about the follow-up as well. Like, well, of course, yeah. Well, that's it. And I think that's another era of WWE I feel like we are going to be moving into, which is funny enough kind of what Cena's promo was on SmackDown, which was just like, I turned heel because we're just booking for moments now, and I don't really want to do that moment thing anymore because I think this heel turn's been a bit rubbish. I'm a babyface now. Did you know what that was? Dramaturgy. But it is, and like, when you look at what they were talking about in Unreal in those things, they were never really talking about, we could do this because then in 6 months time we can do this. They were doing, well, we could do that now because no one will expect it. Right. Okay, well, that's a great idea, but like that is just booking for the moment. And I think that WWE has always been a bit of in a realm of just always booking for the moment. What a moment. I think it's an interesting balance of like where Vince would just book. Oh my god, I keep forgetting there's a camera there. I'm so sorry. Where Vince is booking for the moment, and you didn't see that coming, and there's a swerve, and I forgot what we did last week. Especially because it's week to week as well. Yeah, and then Triple H is like, I want this long-term plan in place. And I think we've been crying out for that. We were for such a long time. You do have to be alive. You do have to respond in the moment. You do have to go, oh, what do we do? Like, oh no, we've got an injury in place. Let's make a quick plan. Or this isn't working. Let's shift in some way. You have to be alive as well. That's the nature of a weekly live stunt show. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Like, I think it's a really fascinating thing, and I love the cash in moment. I thought this was a really fun, and to be honest, it'll be the one thing that people will really remember about this show, because otherwise I thought it was a very forgettable SummerSlam.
I agree.
I think night 2 is a lot more stacked, and we've been talking for 50 minutes about this one subject, so we are going to review the show in full. The last point I wanted to make, I know we want to move on so we can talk about the jelly roll, but the last thing of this that I do think we might want to look at, we don't have to look at in too much detail though, is really how many people thought it was a work.
Right.
Like, are we sort of like, are WWE going to be putting so much focus on what actually is a small portion of the audience? There's actually a much larger portion of the audience that did believe that it was real. And kind of those are the people you should be focusing on more, as opposed to trying to work the fans who have got a Fightful Select subscription.
But I think there's you've got your sort of like, it's a taboo word, but you've got your casuals and you've got your hardcores, and I, within that I don't mean people who watch WrestleMania once a year. I mean people like, I would say for the past year or so I've been somewhere between a casual and a hardcore, because I've had other things going on and I've been reading Reddit. Sometimes I'll listen to the podcast and that'll be how I watch the episode. Sometimes I'll watch the highlights on YouTube if the podcast has told me there's going to be a particularly good, if I see the thumbnail and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, I'll watch the highlights first, and then so like, but in the past I was like all up in on it. So I think it's like, which ones are you going to try and appeal to? And I think it makes more sense to appeal to.
Yeah, and I completely agree.
You know.
Okay, good point on that is that leaks getting out, spoilers, returns, debuts, surprises, nothing new.
No.
Like, this has been going on in wrestling.
Jericho.
Like Jericho back in 99. People knew that was coming.
That's why you get such a big reaction.
Exactly. People had Y2J signs or Jericho signs in the crowd on the night that he debuted.
Yeah.
Because people knew it was Jericho. Yeah. Because the word had got out on the internet that it was Jericho. It's 1999.
Yeah.
It's a long old time ago. You can go back to like even just 16 years ago, and actually this is a bad example of this. Who attacked Jeff Hardy? Well, it's going to be
Christian.
It's going to be Christian, because Christian's left TNA. He's coming back to WWE. And then what happens? Gets out on the internet. So they change it.
So they swerve it.
They swerve it and they change it. And it's Matt Hardy in a storyline that makes no sense, and then leads to a duff match at WrestleMania. And Christian gets a rubbish return to ECW.
It's so funny because when I was going to raise that earlier, I was going to blame the dirt sheets for spoiling it and making them change course, but actually it's as much the fault of them for just not sticking with their plan.
That's exactly it. That's why I wanted to raise that one, because I think that's a really a good example to use of this. So it's wrestling and spoilers and getting out. It's nothing new. It's actually going to be how they adapt it and how they change that world. So rather than just accepting that's what it is, how do they change that game? Which I think is going to be really interesting.
Fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch in real time. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want your thoughts right out on the air, WrestleTalk.com/support is the link to click. And you have got some thoughts on this.
I just was wondering who you're talking to. I'm not used to the new setup.
Yes, as Kevin pointed out, but what about his dog, Luke? The Beast Boatir said, was catching up on wrestling and was wondering, did anyone speculate that Seth's injury might be a work shoot? Maybe they were going to do an injury angle and then he legit got hurt, which is why there's multiple stories going around. Yeah, I mean, once it came out, once it happened at Saturday Night's main event, there was tons of speculation that it's a work from the get-go.
It was a big character and a big stakes on his briefcase as well.
I mean, honestly, and this is a me problem that is more than anything else. I thought it was a work during the moment.
Interesting.
When he went down, because of the way they filmed it.
Interesting.
I was like, there's far too much focus on him down in the corner. I don't think this is real.
But also, like, you can't really. But there was a time when the X meant was real, so they started throwing the X to swerve us, and now that's different.
And that's it. And I thought there was not enough, like what they usually do, which is film other things. Put more, just like film LA Knight just walking around the ring. There was far too much focus on Seth Chat, and I was like, I don't buy this. I think there's something's fishy here.
Yeah.
And then when LA Knight just won, that was the moment I was like, oh, maybe something did just go wrong. They just filmed it weird.
Yeah.
But even then, I was messaging WrestleTalk.com's Amanda Savage during the Gunther Goldberg match. And I was like, I think Seth's cashing in now. Like, I think they did. There's something screwy going on with that Seth Rollins thing. Mayor of Painesville Dan said, "Hello, Luke. Hello, other Dan. Hope you're doing well. Rather nice to see you back, Dan. I thought the first night of SummerSlam was the main event ruled, though. But the rest, mid at best. WWE is missing soul at the moment, but political stuff also pretty bad."
Hilarious that they cut the mics during the... Oh, we went to the White House section.
Ooh. Geek of Arabia. God damn it, I really thought it was legit. Good show, great main event. Gunther with a crimson mask had a hell of an effect. It was like Captain Hammer feeling pain for the first time. 10 out of 10, no notes. So yeah, there's someone there who even... Like, Geek of Arabia is a regular chatter into this show.
Yeah.
Even with all the chat that we've had, thought that it was real.
I'm just trying to find something my mate, who is a super, super duper casual, said to me the other day. Just because that reminded me, because he's another example. I don't know where he is. Oh, there he is.
That's got so many friends. He's got so many DMs that he needs to scroll through.
Actually, really successful. They played a blinder. If that is a work, nothing gives either side away. Though I do hope it's a cash in on Punk to continue their rivalry. It hasn't got stale for me yet. So there's a casual for you. Like he hadn't even considered that it might not be real. So like there are some people out there for whom none of this noise matters.
Yeah. Kuzu here said, "Was there last night and going back tonight. It was a fun show. My dad enjoyed it as well. Never let anyone tell you that WWE fans don't like wrestling because Punk and Gunther put on a clinic last night and the crowd never let up. Flair versus Vader vibes."
I'm too young.
Okay, I mean, look, I think I might have said this on a show already, but on Brainbusters, Sullivan was kicking up a stink on the Saturday Night's Main Event one that so much of it had happened before he was born. And I'm like, Sullivan, you studied history. I'm not, I don't want to ruin the illusion, bud, but all of that happened before you were born. Luke, and that is obviously what Kuzu there is a reference to when a observation I had when I went to go see WWE at the O2, which was that they were not there to watch wrestling.
Right.
A good portion of that audience were not. They were just there to watch entrances. And,
entrances are as much part of wrestling as anything, honey. I love an entrance.
But once that bell rang... silence.
Yeah.
A lot of phones.
Yeah, right.
A lot of getting up to go somewhere else. Luke Owen's #1 fan said, "Now that Seth isn't cashing in tonight, I suspect that clears the way for a Randy heel turn. Him and Cody did a fireball ad a few weeks ago with the tagline, 'Drink for bad guys.' And Randy said he's going to prank Cody big time on SummerSlam. I
wonder if Cody turns heel.
Do the double turn.
I think it would be really good. I don't think it would be... I don't want it because I think babyface Cody makes me happy, but I
Dude, I've been saying it for 2 months now.
And then I think they would add an extra lovely little bit of spice to Cody Punk at Mania. Book it.
Ray here said, I love the show live, even if I had problems. A mum sitting next to us got a hilarious video of me on the ground, head between my legs, in complete and utter despair when Punk lost. They also blinded us during the Jelly Roll match, and it's why we were so loud.
Count yourself lucky, honestly. We'll get to it in a second.
Matthew Bump here said, Michael Cole brought up Unreal during the main event, speaking about Punk's reaction when he was in the main event of Mania, and then went on to talk about like what he saw in Unreal, the anti-kayfabe show. Would kayfabe help him win the World Heavyweight Championship? Huh?
Yeah, that's really interesting because that did happen, and I think there's something
I missed that.
You've got to promote the new show somehow. But it's this weird thing of within the fiction, it's like you've got your 3 layers. You've got the real world, then you've got your they're all backstage fiction, and then they go into the arena and the fiction that happens within the arena, and I just have to accept that when they both walk back through the same curtain, they're not immediately waiting for each other to have a fight kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to, or they've not been stood there next to each other. There's something about the arena that's magic. But I kind of don't, it's a tricky one to navigate. Because how do you bring up what happened in Unreal as a documentary and that reality fiction blend that we love in pro wrestling?
Well, yeah.
While also not talking about it like it's pre-planned.
But Triple H did that on the first episode of Raw on Netflix. They had that video where he was like, this is a scripted show.
Yeah.
We tell stories here. That is what we do. So they've already, like, from the Netflix era...
It's such a unique art form.
They have been very open in saying, this is what you are seeing is not real.
Yeah.
But it is real to you because of that's how stories are crafted and stories are created.
And I suppose you could always put it down to, like, if we accept that Triple H is the GM running the show and booking the things, and he tells the wrestler CM Punk, your match is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. That's still something that would happen in a real life narrative. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing.
Well, continue getting in your UltraChats, WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them before the end of the show. You can tell it's a Luke and Dan Layton episode of the WrestleTalk podcast because we've gone an hour and we talked about one match.
Look, it's Summerfest.
It's night one.
Like, what was it? Was I talking about earlier on? A lot of baggy air. You need to get.
I guarantee you, when Ollie and I do this show tomorrow, bang,
15 minutes
one hour,
yeah.
1 hour, we are done and we are out of here. But we had, for the rest of this show, Drewski opening up the video to opening up the show, doing a little speech. And this happened twice. Michael Cole talked about how nice the weather was.
He really did. And I think it was sponsored by the Weather Channel because I was trying to wonder why Michael Cole was like giving me a forecast.
Lovely.
Also,
lovely breeze in here tonight.
Sorry, it was not. That's not nice weather. Like, it was grey.
It looked all right. I mean, it wasn't raining.
What is? Oh, she's not listening. Siri.
Siri, you're gonna get everyone's going now.
Sorry. Come on, wake up, Diva. I just wanted to know what 77 in Celsius is because it looked grey.
Well, that's what Google's for.
I want sunshine.
Cardi B then opened up the show. I found her a bit much, but that is just me.
She didn't even go, ow.
Is that what she...
Yeah. Ow. Oh, grrr.
Also, just a quick shout out as well. Mex is in the chat. Everyone give a shout out to WrestleManiac UK. Mex is a tremendous video creator in the online space. Does amazing stuff on Instagram and on TikTok. Check out his YouTube channel. Check out his podcast. Also does brilliant work on Gorilla Position, which is a great show here in the UK. So shout out to you, Mex. Thanks for joining us today. Our opening contest was Jey Uso and Roman Reigns taking on the Brons of Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. The Brons stopped doing the replay of the Yeet. Which automatically decided them babyface in this match. But my favorite thing about this match in the early goings, when they were just working over Jey, was Bron Breakker mouthing off at Roman while working over Jey. Yeah. It was the only way I can describe it is Steinerific.
They come by it. Yeah. This was a fascinating little match.
25 degrees Celsius, Dan.
Thank you very much. That's actually quite temperate.
Yeah, it's nice. Sorry, you said about the match.
It was Jay's gear looked great. Sorry, I was a bit stuck on I always find it really interesting when someone changes their gear. The fact that he was wearing shorts, which were very similar to the early Usos shorts kind of thing. I was like, what are you doing there? I was kind of taken by how much of a star Jay felt over Roman in an interesting way. Not like in terms of like the focus of, Roman makes his entrance and it's big and it's grand and it's Roman and he's a big deal. Jay comes through the crowd. It's a big vibe. He kicks off the show. It's like he's the one doing the work right at the beginning. I don't know. I just felt like I was just really intrigued by
makes Roman the biggest star.
This is, but also like
work first.
They're both, they're together versus like it's Roman and his lackey.
Yeah,
they're like Roman and his equal. In terms of presentation, yeah.
And it was good fun in this match. Like, it was a lot of working over Jay to build to the Roman hot tag, then you worked over Roman to build to the Jay hot tag. Roman, when he got his hot tag, did the Undertaker dive.
Oh my god!
He
really did do the Undertaker dive.
Not only did he clear the top rope, he cleared Bron and Bronson.
Yeah,
and nearly but he could clearly see. Uh-oh, I've overshot this, or they're out of position. So he tucks his head and flips over.
Yeah,
spectacularly well done.
Hurt, I'm sure, a muffer, but well executed in the end to not injure yourself massively. I do think tope suicidas need to be put on ice for a while.
Why?
Because I see them far too often I see them go almost wrong.
Nope. It was when Bronson Reed did his tope suicida. Oh, it was awesome. That was so great.
Oh, I really thought his shoulder was going right into the floor. Didn't like it. Didn't like it.
Awesome. Bron's do the Steiner Bulldog. Roman spears Bron through the barricade, and they hit the 3D, the 1D. Then Roman in the finish took the bullet for Jay because Breakker went to go spear Jay. Roman pushed him out of the way, took the bullet. Jay then hit a spear of his own to Bronson Reed and the splash to get the win.
That's cool. That's part of what I mean talking about presenting him as an equal rather than as the lackey. Like, this was ultimately Jay's the one who gets the win, and I know Roman was just doing his Roman talking to himself thing, but it did look a little bit like he was singing along to Jay's theme. And there's something about, it being like, I'm the one putting up, I'm still a tribal chief, but main event Jey Uso is not just a name I gave you to humor you. It's who I see you as now that I really liked. And I think, you know, whether or not his run as world heavyweight champion was massively effective, he's undeniably got a fantastic connection with the fans.
He's over, man.
His post-show stuff was really great as well. Like, his energy's fantastic. So I was glad to see it. You buried the potential Bronson Reed injury there.
Well, I was going to Breaker. I was going to
that
get
one,
to that. And just into a second,
because that was one of the jumps where I was like, "Cripes, that looked like it hurt," and I think it might have.
So yeah, I mean, because I wanted to mention the Jay thing. I really do think that the gap between Rumble and Mania hurts the popularity of Jey Uso, because I think that we collectively all got a bit bored and waiting for WrestleMania to come around for him to win the title, because they didn't do a good job of it on TV.
It's also,
and it felt like
a tricky thing to do.
And it is absolutely. It was like 3 months.
Momentum to keep alive.
Momentum to keep up is always tricky, but it felt like week after week after week, his popularity was diminishing. Like when we got to Raw, like he didn't feel as over as he was 2 months like at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
but I think, but since losing that title, it really felt like, and he's got that. Like, it feels like the Jey Uso that we had pre-Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, where he's got that connection with the crowd again.
Yeah, I think it's like when the Rumble's at the end of January and Mania's in the middle of March, that's already a pretty long time. When it's at the end of January and it's the middle of April.
It's pretty much the end of April.
That's ages.
The 20th of April.
Ages
away.
Yeah.
And I know because they kept showing me the calendar on Unreal. But yes, so the other bit of news coming out of this is that Bron Breakker was limping to the back. He had to be assisted getting up the stage.
Yeah.
And when he came out later for the main event angle to celebrate he had his knee taped up. So there's been no word coming out of it yet. Peter Rosado just said, haven't heard anything yet. So fingers crossed it is minor.
Yeah, it was a jump across. It was his jump from the apron to the table, and he absolutely smashed his knee onto it. And that's a painful thing at the best of times.
We then had, for the Women's Tag Team Championships, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair taking on the Judgment Day. Now, I had Flair and Bliss all day long to win these titles. But then over, like, on Saturday, I'm there just, going about my day. I'm hanging out with the kid, and, we're having a nice little family day. And then, like, I went to go do the dishes. And I was there thinking about SummerSlam. I was like, do you know what? No. Judgment Day should retain the tag titles. Because the story's really good at the moment with, like, Judgment Day holding all the gold. They're, like, draped in gold at the moment. Plus, like, when, Liv Morgan's not there and they're actually being almost more successful without Liv Morgan, that's kind of a fascinating angle. You've got Grin Balor, who's being this, like, overt puppet master trying to manipulate people, but they're aware that he's manipulating them. But, like, what's Liv going to do when they come back? And it turns out they were more successful without her. That's an interesting dynamic. And then Flair and Bliss came out and got these monster reactions. The Judgment Day came out to absolute crickets. And I was like, no, put the tag titles on those ones. They're way more over. Let's put the titles on these ones, shall we?
Yeah. I think Roxanne's done a fantastic job of stepping into the moment and stepping in. And, I think I quite like Raquel's work, but they're not Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss.
Well, no, and maybe people are finally joined me on the sick of Judgment Day drama train. But
I feel like suddenly I'm back in 2022. I don't, we've been here for a while
talking about Judgment Day drama.
Yeah,
the infighting in the Judgment Day,
and it's like, oh, it's back again, and like Liv Morgan's the injured one, and suddenly this new girl comes. It's just the exact same story as Rhea, and there's something again. Karma's a bitch, but like, it's less interesting than what's going on over there.
But it looked like there were going to be some miscommunication between the non-friends because Alexa Bliss accidentally punched Charlotte Flair in the face because Raquel moved Roxanne out of the way. Almost like they did in the Roman match, but like the actual tag partner took the bullets instead. And I thought they staged this very well, which is that Bliss then has Roxanne Perez set up for the Sister Abigail, and Charlotte Flair is across the ring behind her, and she's looking at Alexa Bliss to be like, you punched me in the face.
And it's like Charlotte Flair.
It's Charlotte
Flair,
she does. And it's like, they're not friends.
Yeah.
They've been Charlotte's been very clear in this. We are not friends. This is just a partnership. We are not friends. And then she runs across the ring to do the big boot, but she just looks to a different direction and boots Raquel Rodriguez, who was getting in the ring to stop the Sister Abigail.
Yeah.
I thought it was framed very, very well, staged very well. Alexa Bliss hits the Sister Abigail. They win the tag titles.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting to do it on a show where we're talking about the context of reality versus fiction and what we do and don't know and what we like, what we don't. Thinking of the Players Tribune article and thinking of the episodes that I haven't seen yet in Unreal and all the business to do with Charlotte and what she went through and this sort of idea that Charlotte is... I remember even right the way back to you doing, is Charlotte Flair actually good, and the whole thing. And the thing is not that... of course she is. She's exceptional. It's just she's been forced down our throat. She's been presented to us in this way where it's like, Charlotte wins, lol. It's frustrating.
14-time world champion or whatever ludicrous number.
And but like she's barely held the title for 14 days in certain, and it's like
you couldn't name any of them. It's
like that part.
I mean, I'd say actually it's similar to Cena.
Yeah,
sure, he's won it 17 times, but like most of those are like random 15-day runs that don't mean jackass.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating then to think of the person behind Charlotte Flair trying to, she's not the one booking it. Like, you meet the moment you want to be the best.
But she did sandbag a couple of Tiffany Stratton segments to lead into WrestleMania. I don't think that we should skirt over this, which I feel like a lot of people are.
I thought about this a lot during the time of that Players Tribune article coming out, is that it's like, you don't have to forget that to see a person as fully complex. Do you know what I mean?
And I'm not disagreeing with that. It just feels like I've listened to podcasts being like, I feel really bad for booing Charlotte all those times. It's like, no, but we were booing her because she was sandbagging segments and purposely making TV bad.
It's a complicated thing, but I quite like the fact that she seems to be finding a groove here.
Absolutely.
And I also quite like sort of leading off from that. There's always just a little frisson of something. Like, I'm never fully settled in the idea that Alexa and Charlotte are friends. Like, in terms of, any real life stuff backstage I don't know about. On screen, they both betray people all the time. There's something about it where I'm like, this is uncomfortable to watch, and I like it. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why it's nice to see her work organically being responded to.
That was why
it's good.
Was like I think the reaction that she was getting in the build up to WrestleMania was correct from the audience, who were sick of seeing her being pushed all the time. She's been at WrestleMania however many years, and every single one of them's been a title match. It's just like, all right, fine, yeah, we get it. You're in another title match at WrestleMania, is it? Even though you shouldn't have been in half of those title matches. Yeah. Ended that Asuka streak and all this sort of stuff. Not her fault, not her doing. It's just that as an audience, sick of seeing it happen.
Yeah.
But I think that Players Tribune article really did a lot of wonders in sort of revealing. And actually, the interview she did before WrestleMania, where she just had a sit-down interview talking about, like, here are the struggles that I've had, IRL. And, I came back. Triple H clearly wanted to do the beautiful day 02 return that he had, and the audience just didn't buy it whatsoever. But I think that has helped. And she got this enormous reaction at Evolution.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I was like, good. I'm glad. Because I have been on that boat of like, she is awesome. She's so super talented. She should be pushed into these sort of main event because she's that damn good. But also I'm kind of sick of seeing it. So actually seeing her get her flowers, so to speak, really was a case of like, good. I am glad that she's getting to have this.
Yeah.
And it's really nice that it is continuing. And I've been really enjoying this dynamic with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. What was not good stuff was this really bad sponsor spot for Papa John's that featured Nikki Bella.
I made a chip pussy in this point. Yeah.
Man, like, okay, we do bad acting in our WrestleTalk ad spots.
Yourself. I'm a student at Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts.
You're not in these adverts. It's fine because, but when Ollie and I do them, we overact it. And we do bad acting, and we know that we are doing bad acting, and we think that's a bit funny. This was just bad acting, but I don't think anyone realized that what they were doing was bad acting. So it just made everyone look like absolute geeks.
Yeah. These ad segments are ones where I just try and imagine they're not part of the show. Not because I don't want there to be ads, like, fine, I honestly couldn't care less about it, but it's like, I don't need this to be law. Do you know what I mean? I don't need this to be... I'll be over here.
I don't need this to be part of the New Day's chapter of grieving losing the tag titles.
No, ma'am. I'm Nikki, it's lovely to see you back. And actually, that Maybelline advert a little bit later on, I love Maybelline being a sponsor of WWE, by the way. It's because, between them and The Undertaker, there's an awful lot of Maybelline products going down in the show, so it's about time.
Can I read you a quote from Nikki Bella recently?
Please.
Let me just get this, because she was on her podcast that she has with Brie. She talked about, let me get the thing up for you. I'm just going to read this as a recap from... This is a recap from Cage Side Seats. It said, on the latest episode of the Nikki and Brie show, WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella said that she got hurt in her match on this week's Raw when her breast implant moved, and now it's, quote, been hard to laugh and cough, end quote. Brie Bella said the piping of his elbow drop, quote, put Nikki's implant right into her ribs, end quote.
Woof.
Brie definitely noticed, quote, a little bit of physical difference now, end quote, when Nikki jumped in the shower. But Nikki reassured everyone that, quote, they still look hot, end quote.
Fucking hell.
So, just so everyone knows, Nikki Bella's breasts are still hot, by her own admission. Her own words.
Goodness me. Nikki Love.
That was great. Anyway, Sami Zayn then took on Karrion Kross in your
talking about boobs.
Top of the first hour match on Raw. Like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, look, basic match. It's Sami Zayn was just worked over. Then Scarlett offered him the chance to cheat. He turned it down, and then he won.
I have nothing bad or good to say about this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just happened.
I said to you before we came on air, this is a match that you can say was perfectly cromulent.
Yeah, which I smiled like I knew what you were talking about, but I don't.
It's the only way. It was all I could think
What's
of.
Cromulent?
It just means like adequate.
Okay.
It's from The Simpsons. But I was just like, this was as soon as it finished because I watched this one live last night.
Yeah.
Just before I went to bed. This was like the last.
This is about when I went to bed.
I was like, oh, that's enough for me. So I'm going to go watch this rest of this in the morning. But it finished. I was like, that was a perfectly cromulent match, and I went to bed.
Karrion's done some good stuff. Sami Zayn's a perennial, love watching you do your stuff.
I think Kross is on his way out. Personally,
yeah, probably.
I think he might be. I think they are doing a lot to try and convince him to stay, giving him new merchandise, giving him TV time, giving him 2 consecutive PLE matches. I think they are doing something to make it feel like he's getting a push, but they just do nothing to make him feel like a credible threat.
Do you know what it is? I think it's so interesting, this idea of there are no small parts, only small actors. I saw LA Knight liking a tweet saying, let him go and be a main event star somewhere else. I'm like, that man ain't main eventing All In. It's not. Do you know what I mean? I don't see, maybe Slammiversary. I don't know. But, I just... If everyone's a main event and no one's a main eventer, first of all, there are only so many stories that you can tell, second of all. I loved what Chelsea Green said in Unreal. Why am I spawning Unreal today? But when she said that, there's only, sometimes people have to lose to be able to let someone win. And as long as I'm booked, I'm happy to take it. There's something about having your part to play in the show. And it doesn't mean that just because you're not tip top of the card doesn't mean that your character isn't incredibly valuable to the overall story. And there's something about Karrion Kross's character being this conscience, this sort of devil in the shoulder, the devil all the rest of it. There's really good stuff, but know how to use it the most effectively. And this just was fine.
It was fine. The match was just basic. I don't know what it is about Karrion Kross. I've seen him have good matches elsewhere, but I don't know if it is just the WWE style.
Yeah, maybe.
And honestly, and the WWE style can limit people.
Yeah, it can.
We saw it with Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe just wasn't good within the WWE style. Shinsuke Nakamura has not been good within the WWE style. We just recently reviewed Survivor Series 2010 that's got Low Key on it. Low Key just doesn't fit within the WWE style. But people like Sami Zayn and Kevin Steen and Bryan Danielson can come in, Tyler Black can come in, and they have managed to adapt. There are some guys I just don't think can adapt to the WWE style. And I think Karrion Kross is unfortunately one of them. We got another tribute to Hulk Hogan, and then they showed Psycho Clown and Mr. Iguana in the crowd. Lovely to see them capitalize on that momentum that Mr. Iguana had from Chex Note 2 months ago.
Yeah, they've done that. Cole is on the way.
Cole puts over the weather again. And then some fans got some better tickets thanks to one of the sponsors. And the only reason I bring this up is because at WrestleMania X7...
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing!
Some of the best bits of WrestleMania X7, which is when a kid does a... there's actually 2 different fans that get better.
WWE rules! The Australian woman.
The Australian woman. But my favourite one's the one who did the artwork for Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavoured water.
He just badly photoshopped The Rock's head. Yes!
And he goes, I had to come on and I had to Photoshop the biscuit, which is my favourite band ever, and now I get to come to WrestleMania. It's my favourite show ever. I'm like, where are these fans? That's what I want to see. Just people being woo, thanks, Xfinity.
Yeah, they were having a great time. They got to meet Jade.
Yeah.
The mum was there being you're doing amazing, sweetie. Good for them.
Good for them. Then, speaking of Jade, for the WWE Women's Championship, Jade Cargill, the Queen of the Ring, took on Tiffany Stratton. Match went about 7 minutes, which I think is
a great length of time for a wrestling match.
Certainly a Jade Cargill one. And I thought this was, again, I'm not going to say it was cromulent, actually. I'm going to say that this was Jade's best match in WWE, best singles match in WWE.
I agree.
I thought this was actually, I thought she looked really good here. They're putting over that she was like a step of Tiffany's game a lot in the early goings. She got the feet up on the prettiest moonsault ever, and she hit the Jade, but sort of like overdid it ever so slightly. So she ended up within the ropes with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany then reversed Jade off the middle rope and hit the prettiest moonsault ever for the win. They kept it short, and I thought that was for the best.
I found the result out of nowhere. Like, I just was like, oh, okay.
I was like, huh. All right.
Okay. And I suppose there are things like what every next story is going to be. Okay. I thought Jade's gear looked incredible, by the way. I want to put over that gear, both the coat and then just the gear itself. Mm-hmm. She looks a star. She absolutely looks a star. You could just put her in front of anybody who's not a wrestling fan and they'll be like, wow, that's who you should be building your company around. I think it's bit by bit she is Triple H said it on the post show. It's like the aura and the in-ring work meet when they meet. Sky's the limit. So I think there was something in that where he knows that she's not there yet.
Yeah, it's like
but she's on the way.
Yeah, you haven't seen this episode of Unreal yet.
Spoilers. We didn't spoilers for the spoiler show.
We didn't talk about this on the Friday podcast, but I proper lolled when every other WrestleMania match, that didn't matter how like awesome it was, awesome, like a great work. Cena and Cody come back and they're like, it did exactly what it needs to do.
Oh god, it barely did that.
I would say it did not do that. Yeah. If anything, it put people off doing this Cena heel turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then lastly, the other thing to talk about is Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Jelly Roll.
So that's been the WrestleTalk review of Summerfest. I
didn't mind this, man. I
hated this.
Really,
it's made me really angry. Maybe I'm really grumpy and my coffee hadn't kicked in yet when I watched it this morning. But you want to talk about baggy? If I was a fan of Jelly Roll, maybe I would have found this more entertaining.
That's fair.
Get on with it. Do you know? He's just stood there in the corner telling Randy, I can do this. No, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to talk at you in your face for a little while. And then I'm going to do something. And all of the work that they've done of like showing him at the performance center or showing him training or running the ropes or even doing the boss man slam and stuff like that. Like, I started to buy into it and go, oh, okay, maybe this will be entertaining, sort of like, you know, one of the better celebrity wrestling matches. 17 minutes and 10 seconds, which is precisely 16 minutes longer than it needed to be. I was so bored.
I didn't mind it, man.
So bored.
I thought it was all right. I thought it was a bit of fun. I thought
tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I just thought Jelly Roll was a bit of fun. Like, here's the thing. It's a celebrity match with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. Like, I'm not going to talk about this like it's a Carter Omega 4. Like, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be.
I know, but it's like,
but
so,
at least
so it doesn't need to be
good.
So it was good.
No, it wasn't.
It was a cromulent tag match. Like,
it was not. You are sullying the good name of cromulence. This was the only good thing about it was that Logan Paul like dive.
Dive he did.
Yeah.
And Jelly Roll sold it dead good, and he came back in.
And then he came back in and once again was like, no, I'm gonna do it. Because I'm gonna do it.
He gets in the ring and then he hits the choke slam. He hits the black roll slam, as Michael Cole coined it, because it didn't do the boss man slam. It did the black hole slam.
Randy Orton just spent the past 15 minutes watching Jelly Roll demonstrably not be able to do wrestling. And then tagged in Jelly Roll.
It is,
and then they lost.
It is remarkable.
And then they lost.
It is remarkable that I've got no notes about Randy Orton in this match.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or Drew McIntyre for that fact.
Okay. I also went into this thinking that Jelly Roll was going to pin Drew. So I was pleasantly surprised then when Logan Paul just pinned him.
Oh, God.
But yeah, the baddies won. It's
the
celebrity match you expected it to be.
No.
Yeah, it was. It was the level of quality I completely expected it to be. It's a 2-star match, and I wasn't expecting it to be any more than, like, if it was 2 1/4, I'd have been blown away.
Maybe I'm just really grumpy. Maybe I need to give it another go, but I'm not gonna.
I want to watch it again.
And look, you know, I hate to piss on other people's vinegar and chips and whatever the phrase is, but you know, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, yeah. So, you know, good for you, Jelly Roll. Good for you. Oh God.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, lovely fella by all accounts.
And I don't, you know, one artist to another. I don't like having a go at people's work, but this could have been real entertaining, and instead I watched it for 17 minutes and 10 seconds, and I'll never get them back.
Probably a bit too long, but either way, overall,
I'd rather watch more entrances.
Overall, this was a night of SummerSlam that I think was befitting the card quality that was presented, which was that when we did the predictions for this, a lot of the chat was like, man, night 2 stacked, but where's all the good stuff on night 1? Like, night 2's got so much going for it, whereas night 1 was a bunch of tag matches, a lot of like pre-show stuff for the main events on night 2, with the exception of maybe Punk and Gunther. So I think it was befitting the quality of the card that it was. But I enjoyed it. I think it's below the standards of some WWE pay-per-views in 2025, but I thought it was fine.
5 of my mates around watching it and having a, it's not one where I'm like, it's not bothering my top 5 of the year.
No, that's it. But I don't think it's going to be in anyone's worst 5 of the year either.
No, I don't think that either.
Like, I think by the end, when you get to the end of the year, no one will remember that a lot of this stuff happened. And they'll be like, oh yeah, Alexa and Flair did win the tag titles on that show, didn't they? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jelly Roll. I forgot about him. Like, I think that will be the summation of SummerSlam 2025 outside of the cash-in, which I think a lot of people will remember.
Which, but that's the bit.
So we are going to put a poll up now. So Dan, if you can read out the first Ultra Chat that we have got, WrestleTalk.com/support. Ding, ding, ding. This is your last call. I'm about to put the poll live so you can let us know your thoughts on this show.
Huge if true. Brett J. Rasmussen says, it's always great to see the Professor Dan Layton here. Need more Dan Layton. Hi. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you. The cash-in was great. Even though I was expecting the cash-in at the end, I still popped massively because they're about to pay off the story they've been telling, if I may. I like that this show has gone longer than an hour because it feels like you're giving it the time it needs, because sometimes it feels like it's a bit of a rush trying to meet the hour cap, but I understand. How has life been for Dan? Life has been intense, hectic, busy, but joyful, and a part of that joy is still being allowed to come here and natter with you about this nonsense for nearly an hour and a half. Sorry, Ollie.
Well, we did get through the rest of SummerSlam in 20 minutes.
This is what I mean. Like, it's all about balance. Life's about balance.
It is about balance. And like, it was, we had a lot to talk about in that opening thing.
Yeah.
I think someone in the live chat there said that Seth cashing in has made you all look like fools. Mate, we said it was going to happen.
I don't look like a fool.
Cameron P1.
I do because I haven't showered, but I'm joking.
You look great though. Cameron P1 said, watch this live with some friends over Discord, one of them never having watched wrestling. The Jelly Roll tag match and main event got them hooked, and they're tuning in tonight. It was a magical night, honestly. Hi, Dan.
Now I feel bad for shitting on Jelly Roll. I'll make a Swiss roll later on to make up for it.
Love the WrestleTalk boys. Much love, HH Kiss. My favorite thing my friend who doesn't watch wrestling say about the end of the show is, it took me half an hour to fall in love with Punk, and it took me less than 5 minutes for me to hate Seth Rollins. It was so awesome because she got it.
That's really nice. I mean, like, Punk has that kind of weird powers that my other half calls him the little one, because she watched me watch SummerSlam 13 with Brock.
Yeah.
And obviously demonstrably much smaller, so she's very fond of the little one. So I'm not looking forward to breaking to her what happened.
Oh no. Italian Josh here says, hi lads, Roman's shoes.
Oh my god, the Shula Fala. That is hilarious, by the way.
Bron flying and smashing Roman's jaw, B&B piggybacking for a move, Bron serenading Roman diving like he was shot out of a trebuchet, actual tag teaming, Bron straps off, then on, then off again. This was my favourite match. Lots of love.
Long night for you. No, it was good.
Kevin here said, being a Sami Zayn fan is hard. While I get why Kross should get pushed and could do with a win, I think people need to understand the purpose of the story. People saying that a win does nothing for Sami is disingenuous because they want Kross to win. It's intriguing to see people's reaction to the main event. I'm not sure if people don't like it because actually this is now 2 different points. So I'm on that one. I don't think people went into this match expecting Karrion Kross to win.
I certainly did.
I certainly did. It's the end of the trilogy.
And
Sami needed to win here. So
yeah.
I think most people predicted that Sami Zayn was going to win. Checking looking at the comments on the predictions video. I think it's more about the match wasn't that great. And it's not about Karrion Kross winning. It's about him looking good in defeat, which I don't think he did.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to the second point that Kevin makes here. Said, I'm not sure if people don't like it because the work was leaked or if we get more Punk versus Seth. I enjoyed the segment and how it was executed, but WrestleMania seems like a long time for their match. When I was in engineering school, one of my classmates went to see Star Wars 7 before the others. I asked very loudly when he entered the class, how was the movie? He replied, movie sucked, Han Solo dies. I felt so bad for everyone else. Spoilers for Star Wars Episode 7, by the way. Run! I saw Episode 7 about 2 days before it came out. So I went to a press screening of it. So excited. And then on the day that the film came out, I was on the BBC Sport website and I scrolled down to the comment section and the first comment was Han Solo dies.
just when you think you're safe.
I know, but I was like, well, I'm glad I saw it before the film came out. Otherwise, that would have been really quite annoying.
I dodged the Evolution ending because I didn't get to watch it till later on that night. I dodged that ending like a ninja. I even kept like stumbling across pictures. I saw a picture of Io and Rhea like hugging to be like, we did it, or like having a good match or whatever, and I was like, that could be either of them. Either of them could have won. And it was, in fact, only when the camera panned around, then I was like, that's a really good shot for if someone wanted to cash in. So, like, there is something about just being completely uninformed that really brings you to life.
Roach Senpai said, apologies for drifting away from the Rollins subject. What I hate most from this pay-per-view is that you do not have a match for the women's US champion or both on both nights, but then have enough time for a celebrity match. You can make time for an actual title match. Celebrities are a big deal.
Yeah.
And they always have been to WWE in particular. So like I don't begrudge them for doing a celebrity match over a US title match because, I mean, look, I don't want to be mean or anything. That is more important. Having Jelly Roll on the show is more important than the men's US title being defended.
Yes.
It's more important than the men's Intercontinental title being defended. Doing a celebrity match is more important, arguably, than Punk versus Gunther, because the celebrity matches bring in, hopefully, new fans.
New fans, new eyes, new sponsors, new engagement, new journalist articles. I mean, I agree. I would love to see... My solution for this is we shave a few minutes off everywhere else, and then we can fit another match in there, and it's like pace. But that's not the way it goes, and what we then get as a result is a nice length of time and a good feature for the women's US title match on SmackDown the other day, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, and that's it. And it means that we do get those matches on TV instead of having to put them onto pay-per-view. And it feels like then the episodes of Raw got some good stuff, and episodes of SmackDown, like with the Julia Zelina Vega match. And then Monday Night Raw will have some... People are like, oh, there was no room for Aleister Black and Damian Priest.
Because they got a feature on SmackDown.
Because they got a feature on SmackDown instead.
And those SmackDowns in the area, in the whatever, they're treated as a big deal in and of themselves.
Part of SummerSlam weekend.
Exactly. And so, yeah, while it would be nice to be on the show and be in the stadium and get the rest of it, and as we continue to develop the prestige and the importance of these titles, putting them on these events is a key part of that. Sometimes it's the way the cookie crumbles.
Cindy in Oz said, I hate to say it, WWE has nailed match advertising. From the disaster of ruining a blood feud with Toast Crunch and the crassness of dude wipes for women's matches, seeing Gunther with the General Insurance front and center was advertising chef's kiss.
There was a moment where he like stood up and it said the 5-star general next to him, and I was like, that is well. You've done that quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devil Kazuya said, Luke, for old time's sake, can you review SummerSlam Night 1 by comparing it to your favorite curry?
Oh, for God's sake.
Dan, can you suddenly judge him as he does compare
now I can look directly down lens and I have my own camera.
Can you silently judge him as he does it, or compare SummerSlam Night 1 to a classic play / Hollywood movie if you'd like? Would be... Do you know... Okay, I'm going to say it's having paneer shashlik, actually, which is very delicious, but you kind of... Sometimes when you have a paneer shashlik, you're like, I kind of want a sauce on this. I would really like to have a Dansak sauce to pour over this, because otherwise it can be a bit dry, even with some lovely some crisp peppers in there, or some onions and stuff. But otherwise it can just be a bit dry at times. So I could do with something to whet my whistle.
I hear there's a vacancy on MasterChef for a new presenter, and it's right here. But you'll only put them through if they give you a chicken tikka dansak.
Oh man, if they gave me a paneer tikka dansak, if every single contestant gave me a paneer tikka dansak, I would rank them and then put over the people who gave me the best one.
God, I miss you.
Dormammu here said, the only thing I'd change to the women's tag finish is having Charlotte hitting the spear on Raquel. Call back to the moment when Bray and Roman were fighting the League of Nations and Bray pointed for Roman to spear Sheamus when he pinned Del Rio.
I mean, at least a spear is within Charlotte's wheelhouse, so that's yeah. I thought it was a pretty decent callback in and of itself, without being too on the nose.
Charles Berg has been a member for 2 months in a row. Said, I like to think there exists a Dan Omni...
On time.
Sorry?
It's a joke about my name being Layton. So is there a Dan on Timeton and a Dan Earlyton?
Welcome back, Dan.
It's very, very... It's a stretch.
Honestly, pretty good, though.
But I'll respect it since it's you.
Challenge Dark here said, just chatting in to say, I miss you, Dan Layton. Never let Luke forget who the 2K24 My GM champion is. Hope you're doing well, mate. For SummerSlam, I thought everything was mildly fine except for the main event, which was great. So excited for tonight. Much love.
You'll never forget. He'll never forget.
I've forgotten it already. Real Double J here said, my experience with SummerSlam so far is like when I saw Cats on Broadway.
Great. Now we're talking my language. Here we go.
All right, like when I saw Cats on Broadway. A show that becomes reliant on its own legend to pull punters in rather than passable renditions of well-trodden songs, but only the bombastic start and the prelude at the end before, the interval to wake the crowd up. I'm hoping I don't have to sleep through Act 2 to get to Memory/Cena versus Cody. Does Dan think there are better musicals to model off their two-night shows to give a better plot through than feel like a jukebox musical?
The thing is, I haven't, first of all, I actually have come to stand jukebox musicals as a result of this degree, but also, I wasn't prepared for this level of... I love this, so I wish I could answer it better. They're a better musical model of their two-night shows. I just saw Evita, and that is a fascinating little, like, one act two little scenario where they build up this... First of all, Evita's a massive hit piece about Eva Peron, which is fascinating, because you think... And that's a whole other conversation. Don't pull me down this line. More pertinently, which cat is which wrestler, I think.
Right, okay, full transparency, I don't know Cats.
Don't.
like, I'm going to eventually watch it for worst movie ever on cutscene, but
woof.
I'm only going to watch it if I could get to see the butthole edits.
When we say worst movie ever...
I want to see the edit where they've still got hands before they see CGI'd into pause.
It's not pleasant.
So I don't know Cats all that well. Mr. Tumnus is one of them?
Is the satyr, the goat man from Narnia. So is in no way in Cats.
Is that a play?
Probably somewhere.
Yeah. Well, okay. With jukebox musicals,
yeah.
The only thing I've got against jukebox musicals, or actually my worst trend, is adapting films from the 80s and 90s into stage plays.
Okay.
We're actually now going into doing 50 First Dates as a musical.
Yes, that is. Although I think that's original music.
It has ruined one of my favourite jokes from The Simpsons, which is when they do Planet of the Apes, the musical.
Dr. Say Yes, Dr. Say Yes.
And the joke that they did about that was like, wouldn't it be stupid if they had done a play about an old movie?
Yeah.
And now every play is just of an old movie, so that joke no longer works.
I'd go so far as to say it still does, but primarily because Dr. Say Yes slaps.
That's great.
It's a great number.
But that is a superb chat, Real Double J. So thank you very much. I'm going
to be thinking about all of them as cats from now on. Like, who's Mr. Mistopheles?
I saw...
Well, arguably, Seth Rollins is McCavity because he's coming right at the last minute.
I saw Wicked.
The movie or the show?
The movie. I haven't seen the show.
The show needs an upgrade, but
I've seen the movie.
By upgrade, it needs me.
Who would you be?
Fiero. I would want to be Fiero, but I would be Bok.
Which one's he?
Fiero is the leading man, the handsome one who dances through life. Bok is the one that...
Dances through life?
Dancing through life. Mindless and careless. No? Did you watch Wicked?
Yeah. There's only 2 songs I already remembered from it.
The whole sequence when they're dancing in the library.
Oh, and then they go to the
party. It's a pretty crucial number because then suddenly it's where Elphaba and Glinda become friends.
Oh, right,
yeah. So that's Fiero. I'd want to play him, but the reality is I'd be playing the nerdy ginger one that fancies Glinda and gets rejected.
Oh, that's a good role.
But then he went out with Anna Grande in real life, so...
Oh, well, swinging and roundabouts.
Well, that was that. And now that's insider tea. Dave Meltzer could never report on that shit.
My takeaway from watching Wicked, though, is that are there no songs in the second act?
Oh, there are an abundance of songs in the second act.
But are they actually any good? Because everyone I've now spoken to about it has been like, oh yeah, no one likes Act 2 because they just do Defying Gravity again.
No, they do not. No, they do not. No, they do not. You are not prepared for no good deed.
Okay.
Just going to say it.
All right. And MJ here said, Sami Karrion was the biggest disappointment. Even though the match was very mid, they had 3 options for the finish. Heel Sami, face Sami, Karrion, and they picked the most boring one.
They picked the most authentic one.
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to heel Sami.
Which is maybe the most predictable one, but I think it's the correct one, nonetheless.
Right, well, we're going to end this poll because I believe that is our last chat. Making sure I'm ending the poll, not the stream. Thumbs up, 49%. Thumbs in the middle, 44%.
I think in the middle is how I feel broadly.
I think I would be more in the middle than I am up, but don't mind it.
Yeah.
Fun show. Dan, thank you so much for being here on the WrestleTalk podcast. Wonderful to have you back. I think we should have you back more now that
I'm deeply fun employed.
School's out for summer.
School's out for the rest of my life at this point. I doubt I'll do another master's degree.
There's always the option.
I could.
You could.
Turn it into an MFA.
Whoa! Isn't that Solar Coast new group? But yeah, Dan, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have you around a little bit more now that school's over. And we are definitely going to have you back for some TLC action and see what else we can get you on. So yes, if you enjoy seeing Dan on this show, he'll be back for more. I can almost guarantee it. And we will be back tomorrow, myself and Ollie Davis, reviewing SummerSlam Night DOS, which has got the big John Cena and Cody Rhodes WWE Championship match, a 6-pack TLC match. It's got the women's 3-way match, which is my most anticipated match. Actually, no, my most anticipated match is Becky Lyra.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Stoked to see that and the Bailey heel turn. Yeah. So that is all coming up tomorrow. If you haven't already, click the video down below because we've got my link to the edited review there as well. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Jam that jam.